people that are remote workers,
Hmm.
um, that have a high salary because they work for a U.S. company, Australian company, and they go to live to Bali or
Mm-hmm.
Armenia or whatever, these cheaper places. They end up getting complacent, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's actually a really good like analysis because I see that with my remote employees too. All right, brother. How you doing? We connected.
Great. How about you? How's everything?
Good, doing well, man. Same same old running the business. Like I mentioned to you, we just had an interview for a warehouse manager position. So I think this should be the final interview, and hopefully we get them in. And it was really good. I think out of the 40, 30, 40 people we've interviewed, this has been the best so far.
Hmm.
Super local, 10 minutes away. Everything kind of fit. Um, we're just gonna do reference checks and all that. I see you're drinking your gallon of water a day or what?
This is yeah, I am. But this is not a gallon. This is 0.75. So this is I
Yeah,
think
who
one
cares about the
seventh
liter?
or 1/8 of a gallon, something. So I gotta drink a lot of those anyway.
Are you still doing 75 hard?
Yeah, it's again, it's a way of life for me. Like
Nice.
if there is a day, or even for example, when I was in the US, um, maybe like 3 4 days, I didn't, but like immediately after, start again, because uh, this is this is my top performance, and then if I don't do if I keep doing 75 hard, it can go a little bit down, and but it can keep go up. But if I don't do 75 hard, it crashes down. Everything crashes down because you're not reading, you're not going out, you're not exercising, you're not putting again great nutrients in your body. You're eating poorly or bad or unhealthy, and that everything affects. So I've associated at this point that if I want to be at my peak and I want to deliver the best of myself, I have to be doing 75 hard. How about you?
Yeah, this is so me and a friend we're doing it together, holding each other accountable daily. I'm on day 35. Actually, today's 36. He's on 39. So every day it's a mine's a little variated version. So I'm not doing two workouts. I just don't have time for that. But every day for I'm doing my workout. Um, and then the reading still like if I know he says no digital or audio, but if I'm on the computer and I come across an article, I'm reading that for 20 minutes. That if it goes in deep, I consider that. So I'm not. I think I mentioned to you like Andy is a genius, and what he's done with this movement, it's only set up mainly set up for individuals and that success plan. But if we start working out, what's the next logical step is to take supplements, and what better company to use than First Form. So Andy did a really good marketing plan. I don't know if it's deliberate or consequential, but yeah, like you mentioned too, I definitely feel at my best when I'm doing it. So I want to complete it. I did it last year. Obviously, there were some days like I had a Kit Kat, I had a donut, people bring it in, but I go extra hard at the gym. So yeah, it's
Okay, so you're doing your own version of 75 hard. Let's
own
just
version
call it.
of 75 bucks.
Okay.
I'm still doing the
Um,
water. Like the water is mandatory. I have
yeah.
my jugs behind me. Um, and then I'll do my own protein shake every day, which has been like my favorite thing to look for. Like it's just delicious. I'm trying to think around like how to commercialize that because it's the best shake like I've had. So yeah, man, it's I think it's mandatory.
Yeah. One thing I have to say, if it was a billionaire sitting in front of me or whoever, I would still say this argument. Uh, if Andy Frisella has time to do 75 hard, you, me, and everybody listening has time. If he has time to do the two workouts, just like the way it's intended to be 100%, you have time, I have time, etc., etc. So I'm just challenging you to at least try it once, see if you can actually do 75 days the way it's supposed to be, and then you can do whatever the heck you want. But I want to challenge you to
Yeah,
see if you can.
yeah. I'm naturally what's the word? Not suspicious, but I'm naturally I don't believe anything. As weird as it is. So even like I think some people frame it as like, oh, you do this and then you're gonna be a millionaire, billionaire, or I don't think that's necessarily the case because like again, I don't think anyone in Silicon Valley tech world even works out, let alone works out twice. Like you look at Elon and he's not in shape. Zuckerberg, like anyway, I think it's a good framework for me because I want to be healthy. I think that's more important. But anyway, I'm always like my antennas are up now. But it's a movement, man, and it started. So maybe one day, maybe I need to follow it to the T. But I don't know. Anyway, what's up with you? How's work?
Yeah,
How's
this is a good conversation. I mean,
I know it's
it's a
different.
good conversation.
Off topic.
Like, listen, this is what's going on in everybody's mind. I mean, there's people that think like you, there's people that think like me, there's people in the middle. So this is a great conversation.
Yep.
I think the real question that we all have to ask ourselves, doesn't matter if you follow it or not, is can I, do I have enough willpower? You just, Arman asks Arman, Argin asks Argin, do I have enough willpower to follow this to the T for 75 days?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's it.
Yeah, and
So anyway,
maybe that could apply to anything that you're doing. Like
yeah,
I started this other task of it's called 100 days of code. I haven't coded it 100 days straight. So it's like yeah, it's the mentality of sticking. You're gonna say you do something, you stick to it and do it to the T. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. But anyway, how was your
yeah,
trip to States? What was
yeah. I think, yeah. Thank you for asking. We didn't get to meet, but we will meet next time. I'll make sure I have planned, plan it for so we can actually do it in person. But it was great. It was great. Argin, like for everybody that's in Europe and that's remote working and or that they work in the remotely from the US, but they're really living in Europe or Asia or whatever. And two things I noticed that, and this is actually valuable to people. First is that I went to the US and things moved like crazy in a good way. Like when you're there in person, when you do stuff together with people other than business, but you spend time with those business people. Um, I don't know, like some of the best things that happened during that trip, Argin, were casual conversations, not on purpose, but casual conversations that I think are gonna lead to pretty big stuff. I think it's hundreds of thousands. And that was because that casual conversation, you were not, but like you were there physically present, you were spending time, which is different from physical. I can't explain it. That's the first lesson that, hey, you got to be more frequently in the US, business moves faster. That's the first lesson. Second lesson is um, I've met Armenians and people in general that work in the US, then they move to Armenia or they move back. Here's the problem, they get complacent because now they have a great salary, US salary, living in that country. They're living pretty well, maybe like kings, but they're not thinking about how can I make that more money than that. No, they're already set, and so that complacency hits very, very hard, very, very hard. And I met people like they just happy. I mean, who wouldn't be happy with that disparity in your salary and the living standard? But they get complacent, and I'm guilty of that too. So,
Hmm.
food for thought.
Specifically, you're saying people get complacent in Armenia or in Europe in general?
People that are remote workers,
Hmm.
um, that have a high salary because they work for a US company, Australian company, and they go to live to Bali or
Mm-hmm.
Armenia or whatever, these cheaper places. They end up getting complacent, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's actually a really good like analysis because I see that with my remote employees too. And I think so, and even I have family in Europe, I have family in even Canada, Australia. The US culture is not, we don't, there's no break. Like we have a vacation time, but and obviously like business owners, entrepreneurs, founders are on a level by themselves where that that mindset might not even be there. But even the workers, we have way too much going on to even think about breaks. We'll have like shorter breaks, but I've noticed in like Europe, overseas, it's opposite. It's like 2 month vacation, 3 month, and yeah, you're right. That's like a mindset of complacency. I don't know if that doesn't mean it's necessarily right or wrong, but yeah,
Yeah.
maybe in times of like figurative famine, you wanna go super deep into your craft and or maybe countries that are third world or developing shouldn't have a complacent mindset. It's like this is do or die. I know I know you have a passion for that for our country. I do too. Sometimes it might seem difficult to change, but hopefully small conversations like this can spark something and someone can hear it and connect. But yeah, that's a good point. That's a good thing you noticed.
Yeah. And so the what was I gonna say? So we have the so
Yeah.
oh yes, I know now. I know now. So you talked about feast famine. Um, I really liked when we talked recently. I really liked your analogy. I think a lot of people need to listen. What's your mind at? I mean, listen. I mean, here it is. One guy that some people at your situation could just put their feet up, rest, and no, your mentality is quite the opposite. Um, and I want to just walk us through your mentality. Why are you working as hard as you're working now? Why do you think there's going to be turmoil, and how are you going to take advantage of it?
So it's funny. I don't even think I'm even working that hard, and maybe that's the case with like you mentioned Andy. If he has the time and he's doing this, then no one has the excuse. I don't even think he thinks that. And I see some of his stuff where he does. It's not necessarily that he completes 75 hard, but he's back on it, back doing it. You don't hit it next day, you're back to doing it. So I'm sure he probably does it that same thing with work. It's probably 10 times that. He doesn't need to do it, but he doesn't feel like he's doing anything special. So, and I know I'm not doing anything special, but it's I don't know. There's like a drive to do more, not just for yourself, but for our team. We have some family members working here, so you want to see them succeed. Um, we want to see their families, their kids, their like it's almost you do it, I do it for myself. Great, that's more motivation. We have our team, we have our employees, they have their families, they have their friends, their community, their churches, their country. So it all builds up from the individual. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know if I don't think I'm doing anything special. It's just I think the my blocks are like how could I be more efficient or the things that I'm doing wrong. I'm always looking at uh, the tasks that I do. Is it the most efficient or the top priority for today, for this hour, or could I do something else that can be more productive? I think everyone deals with that. It's how to split up the time, work-life balance, work-life choices, whatever you call it. Everyone deals with that, but I'm just trying to figure out how to optimize. How is it like on your end? What's kind of your driving factor, or kind of your thought process around that?
Uh, that's a great question. No, a little bit like you, like that prioritization. I don't know. Nobody teaches in school, us in school, arguing that atomic habits. Here's how you start positive habits. Here's how you remove or make disappear negative habits that you have. Here's how you prioritize in your life things that you actually matter and things that matter, but then they're not urgent, and things that don't matter or are wants or stuff that you would want to do, but it's not important or urgent. So being able to do that real time is been huge. I agree with that. It's still something that I'm applying. It's not like I'm a master at it all the time, but it's definitely when I feel like I'm stuck, it's probably a prioritization issue. Um, but other than that, like I don't really, can't really answer that question as much. I just know that my country needs help, my family needs help, and I don't have any other choice, I guess.
Yeah, we mentioned they don't teach this at school. I wanna. It's like there's no incentive for them to teach this at school. Like, and I've been listening to this guy named Michael Malice. Like he's like a new guy that's popping on the scene. He just has a book out. I think it's like I think he said he's an anarchist,
Mhm.
but I don't know. It seems like so he's mentioned and a lot of other people mentioned there is no incentive like the indoctrination starts at school. I know Andy's mentioned this, Davis mentioned this, a lot of people mentioned this, that indoctrination starts at school to create good citizens. They don't want us to have good habits because then you escape the matrix, which is the popular phrase for today. I've been thinking around the, and maybe we can use this as a jumping point into Armenia countries in
Mhm.
general. Like obviously we're Armenian, so our passion is there, but uh, there's Mexicans, Venezuelans, Chinese, Taiwanese, like everyone has their country, right? And everyone's best interest is going to be for that. How much do you think the land of a specific country matters over against the people of that nation that are in different lands? Like me and you're in Spain, I'm in California, we're Armenians, we're doing this. In my opinion, this is Armenia now. Well, in the future, this is going to be more of Armenia than the land is going to be Armenia. That might be controversial. Push back if you have something else because I want to refine my thinking. Word, the internet, the e-commerce, digital marketing, cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, the internet is becoming the new state. What do you
Hmm.
think about that? How much truth is there to that? How much pushback can you give on that?
So I'm gonna reply like my father that like when you ask a question, he goes back and answers a 20-minute. Okay, well you gotta take care of this. You gotta take care of this. But I'm gonna simplify it in 2 minutes or less. So if you think about land, people are like bonded by land, but can you really be bonded by land as a nation if land changes hands over centuries, millennia? Can you really be bonded by that? That's one. Second is, oh, we're bonded by religion. Well, I don't know if people know this, but you know half of Armenia's history, um, before Christianism, like Armenia is so old. Christianism is a part of it. It's a decent part of it, but there's so much more
Mhm.
that it's not related to religion, Christianity. There is a big population of Armenian Muslims. I don't know if you knew this,
Yeah.
living in. Are they not Armenian because they're Muslims? Right? So we just covered religion, land. Is it language? No, you can not speak Armenian and be Armenian, right? Or any other nation. And so what ends up just the only thing that ends up remaining is blood.
Blood.
Yeah, blood. And
Can you
so
go deeper? Yeah, go deeper on that. What's that?
that is the thing that relates us all together. It's our genetic knowledge. We all are the result of all of our ancestors' experiences, lives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we all share that quote unquote genetic pool and blood in that sense. So that is really what brings us together. That is the thing that we have in common, and we can't rely. And the point there is we can't rely on. We definitely that land is super important right now. Land is super super important. This is such a great question, Arjun. Very philosophical answer, but land is super important right now. We're getting attacked. We're donating. We're
Yeah.
trying to do as much as possible. Land is super important. You can't have a nation without land.
Yes.
All these other things are very important, the culture and everything. But themselves alone are not the thing. The thing is the blood, in my opinion. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear your opinion.
I guess I'm hung up on blood. I'm not sure. So ancestral genetic passing down, but just like how you mentioned, landmarks can change. It has changed. It is changing. It's going to change. And again, for Armenia, because we share that, we see it, we feel it. But Ukraine, Russia, China, Taiwan, you name it, right? There's going to be that conflict because Israel, Palestine, that might be bigger and more of a conflict than Armenia, uh, Azerbaijan. I'm not sure, maybe, but it's always going to be there. It's never not going to be there. So land keeps changing. Religion, same thing. Um, there's Christians in Israel. There's Muslims in Israel, right? Language, same thing. What can you go a little deeper on blood? What do you mean, like? Because that there also might be Palestinians that marry Israelis, individuals, and intermix that DNA. So, what go a little deeper on that. I'm curious your framework around blood and DNA ancestral.
What's your, I guess, like, what's your question? You would have to ask me in a question way, like, what do you want to know more about specifically?
Yeah, so I guess the way I would frame what Armenia is would be all of the things you mentioned, but it can constantly change and we bound each other. So, for example, with the land, assume in 200 years, uh, they take they Armenia is gone from that location in that map. But what's to say that Glendale, California can't be the new Armenia? I believe in 100, 200 years that can be. Why? Like with the way that current U.S. government is set up, it might not be. But the way things are going with the internet consensus, blockchain, um, maybe Bitcoin can be the premier to this. But if democracy goes away and we can dedicate another part of land, Glendale is kind of like Armenia Junior because we have the religion, the language, the blood is here. So it's like it feels like that, but it's under US politics, US laws, US currency, all that stuff, which has been history in the making. But I think in the future, individuals will make their own countries and we can have multiple Armenias. and that becomes kind of land. We can create our own rules. We have our own currency, and people will decide. But Armenians will never go away. They might take the land, they might take whatever, but we're here, and hopefully it grows for the better. So that's how the context that I think about it. I think those four that you laid out is really good. Those are essential to every uh, nationality. So yeah, that's my context. That's something I've been just like thinking about. I don't know if it's right or wrong. And I know like right now, of course, it's important. Like there's war, there's conflict. We want to help, but I'm thinking down the line. I don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like enlighten me more on currently what we can
Yeah.
maybe.
Argan, here's actually, I think this is going to be the best way to see it. It's no secret that Armenia is between Turkey and Azerbaijan. These are two brother nations, Turkish ethnicity,
Mhm.
Muslim, and what is their goal? Their goal is not a secret. They want what's called the pan-Turkism, which is the whole, that whole thing is
Mhm.
one great Turkish nation. They want unification. Armenia is in the middle of it.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Well, they tried to do the Armenian genocide.
What they
It
did.
worked. Yeah, they did. 1.5 million people. It worked to some extent. It didn't work to some other extent, but they erased a lot of Armenians. They're trying to do it now. And so here's my question to all Armenians and to everybody listening that is an ethnic minority. If your enemy, in our case, if Turkey wanted to erase you, what would they do? And then what we have to do is do the opposite. It's almost like the Charlie Munger thing principle. I don't know if you've heard it. Like, how would I mess up this marriage? You list all the things to mess up the marriage, and you do the opposite, so you don't mess the marriage. So here's the same example, but with okay, well, our enemies are trying to exterminate us. Turks are trying to exterminate us. What would they do? What would we have to do instead? Well, they would first make us forget about our culture and heritage. They would make us forget about the thousands of years that we have been in history. Romans don't exist anymore. Armenians still do. They would make us forget about our history. They would install dumb stuff that's happening in TikTok. I'm going to call it right away. I mean, TikTok, Instagram, there's a lot of very bad influences in our nation, in the youth, in the States, but even in Armenia. Like obviously in the States, that's very clear, but in Armenia too. So you would try to erase the culture. So what do we have to do? We have to bring those culture elements back. You and I meet together. You and I celebrate our festivities. You and I share stuff and meet and read books together and preserve the language, preserve the culture, everything that's standard. That's one thing they're going to try to erase, right? They're going to try to divide us. It's the second thing. Oh, you're Armenian from this place and you're Armenian from this place, so therefore I'm better than you. Or these guys are from the village and we're not from the city, so these guys suck, etc., etc. So what is the opposite? Well, the opposite is, dude, no matter what, you're Armenian, period. And I'm here to help you out, period. And I interviewed Berj Abajan a month, 2 months ago, and he was saying, I was like, he's running a pretty successful company. It's a public company. And he gave me the example where he said Jews with each other, when he's winning, they all get behind him like horses. They all help him succeed. When an Armenian is winning, the Armenian community tries to knock down the freaking horse.
Mm.
That was his example.
Mm.
And so that has to be avoided. So they're trying to separate us. Well, we got to do the opposite of that. And so
But
that's the
I want
answer.
to
Like,
I want to push back on that
go
slightly
ahead.
because and I've been a part of this, the Barska High Astansi, this Lebanese. We kind of do that. And you just said with Verge, he said Armenians pull each other down. So, as disenfranchised, genocide bound as we've been, we've kind of done some of this stuff to ourselves, no? As far as the petty stuff, and you'll know this better than I will, but the former government, maybe current government, I haven't kept up as much. Isn't there internal, I don't know what the word is, but like government, not conspiracies, but like I don't know what the word
Infighting or what?
infighting, or the government is taking money, using it for itself and for oligarchs or whatever the case might be. I don't know if that's pressures from other countries or what have you, Russia, but it seems like we control more of that than other uh, other nations. I don't know. I might be wrong on that, but I want to push back so that we can kind of go further into that because, yeah, you know
So
more about that. I want to hear your thoughts on that.
listen, Argan, I think are young, in that sense, Burrish, is in 50s, 60s. That's another generation. I want to believe that we're a bit different in the good way, where you and I can work together and do stuff together. But there is a lot of ego built in from our parents and just built into our DNA. I think there's a lot of big egos. So that happens. What he says happens. I also see the other opposite, where Armenians help each other. They give them a hand. They
Of
try
course,
to do as much as
of course,
possible. And it's in our hands to change. Your and my. They're not going to change. Like our parents' generation are not going to change, guaranteed. So it's up to you and me, people our age, a little bit older too, a little bit younger too. Definitely all the younger, and all the people are willing to change. It's up to us to change that.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of laugh when you say for the older generation won't change. I definitely see some of that when we gather, whatever. I have hope for that too. I try to push for that more because we're young now, but we're gonna be the older ones later. So I always remind them of that, but it's like a message to myself when I get older, not to be locked in a mental model, a box, prejudice. Like as much as we say it won't happen to me, we're susceptible to it. So it could happen. Probably has happened. We don't notice it. Um, so I guess on a more practical level, like currently, what can we uh,
Mm-hmm.
do for Armenia? What's some practical stuff?
True. So again, I'm gonna take that example, arguing of what the enemy is trying to do and what can we do. Again, enemy is trying to push cultural dumb stuff. What we need to do is go back and learn our history. And there's like, if you like, here's the thing, right? Just very quickly, if you think that you are just a citizen of the world, period, you're gonna act one way. But if you know that your nation has a 5, 6 thousand year history, 7,000 year history, and this is what you guys stand for, and this is what you guys have done, you start to be proud of your history, and then that starts to change you. You become more patriotic, and so that's one thing. Just learn more about your history. Secondly, is read about people like Garak English. Read about people that were not politically affiliated. Their only political party was Armenia. Their only interest was advancing Armenia. Garak English stopped the Turks from grabbing the whole Syunik province, and to this day, thanks to him, that's still held. And I recommend people just all over try to read more about him. He's very apolitical, and it's all about what can we do for Armenia? How can we all collaborate? How can we all do stuff together and improve our nation? What can we do for our nation? So that's the second thing. Third thing is collaboration, Argen, and which leads me to, and I want to hear from you too, but collaboration, getting together, doing stuff together. So for example, for the listeners, me and Argen, we're going to start putting together a group of entrepreneurs, business owners, Armenian that I want to connect and see how we can help each other. There is not really something like that, and so if we can facilitate that, that's great. Because one very amazing example was Argen was working on. We operated in the silos, all of us Armenians. Like he was trying to solve a problem to ship something back to Armenia. Then maybe I know someone but he's trying to solve that problem by himself. I'm trying to solve my problems by myself, and we're all doing that on our why don't we just all get together maybe once a month or whatever, try to help each other out. We all of us have one goal, just to make Armenia better. So there are some things that come to mind, Armenia.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty practical and helpful. I know you mentioned TikTok and Instagram. I've never been on TikTok, never will. I don't. Well, actually, for our business, our employee runs it, but I don't even look at it because I can't stand it. I've been off Instagram personally for the last 6 months at least, and I don't know where this goes because I don't see the misinformation or disinformation or what the enemy is trying to do from with social. I don't really see that. I've just been on Twitter and YouTube. YouTube just publishing videos, getting long form content, and then Twitter. Obviously, like I think Twitter is going to be. You know what I was thinking? So we have Fox, CNN, and major news outlets here. I don't know how it is in Spain. I don't know how it is in Armenia, but so
similar.
They were the media companies of the past, and they're kind of crumbling now. But every single person on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter is their own Fox and their own CNN. So we see some kind of information within the platform, and then we repurpose that or tell our version. So we become a Fox or CNN. The more I'm on TikTok or Instagram and see those things, the more I could get brainwashed, either negative or positive. Mostly it's negative because that's the feedback loop. We hear something terrible is happening, we have to share it. It's the complete opposite for me, from my experience on Twitter. And it's only gotten better with Musk's takeover because there's community notes, verification, no more bots, no more all the disinformation. Not all. I don't know if this will ever be fully possible, but most of the disinformation is gone on Twitter. So I don't know what part that plays. Like we used to hear on the Trump end there was Russian collusion with voting. There's misinformation. They're running ads. And you still hear that talk. I don't think that's ever going to go away, but there needs to be a way to verify all this stuff. And I feel like Twitter is the best thing we have right now, and maybe independent journalism. So I don't know how much of that plays in part of it, but I was just thinking that since you mentioned TikTok and Instagram, like maybe you can share like on those platforms. Since I'm not on it, I don't see it. Like, is there good things to TikTok that you see, or is majority of it negative that kind of irritates or bugs?
Mm-hmm. So in the last 3 months, I've been physically in Armenia, in the US, and in Spain. And so when you move, which is great. It's interesting. TikTok's algorithm changes based based on that to show you local stuff based on where you're at. And so I'm in Spain and I see stuff in Spain. So for example, people can do this test right now at home. This is the good thing. If you type France right now on Instagram, and I'm curious on Twitter too. I think Twitter is also on the more truth side. Argan, you type France right now on Twitter or Instagram. I know for a fact Instagram, they're not going to show you the burning of a lot of things right now, the protests, how horrible it is. Instagram is not going to show you. TikTok is going to show you. I think Twitter will too. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, Twitter will show everything, both sides, everything.
So that's the good. The AI algorithm on TikTok is way superior than everything we've seen, and also I think I'm guessing, but I think because of how intrusive they are, I think that also is a factor. You know, the more intrusive, the more data you have, the better the algorithm, obviously. I've been getting some amazing recommendations on a lot of things, like, you know, positive stuff, like, but it's because of the AI, it's so good, and you can train your AI. That's another thing, right? You can train your AI, rewarded when they give you stuff that you want to see more of that's positive, right? Versus the negative. Anyway, that's another conversation. But here's what's doing for our youth, okay? It's proven that there is two versions of TikTok. There is the outside of the word, and there is the Chinese version. The Chinese version of TikTok, let's just say the outside of the word, the US version, rewards dumb shit, like the girls doing the dumb shit, man doing the boys doing the dumb shit, whatever that is. You guys can picture it. In China, they reward hard work, doing things for the nation, this, that, the other, not using the phone. I was seeing one ad the other day that there was this ad in China about how the girl was addicted to her phone and how that was bad, and they were trying to push that on them, like, don't be addicted to the phone, etc., etc. And so that's the problem. And so what I see personally when I went to Armenia, to finish my point, is anyone can go live. That's good and that's bad. But like right now, the lowest of the low, I'm just gonna tell you how it is. The lowest of the lowest in Armenia and other countries have access to go live and influence our people. That is not as present on Instagram. That's the good side and the bad side. Like right now, if you go on, there is people going live on Armenia that are very poorly influencing our girls and our boys. Very poorly. It's almost like having your local criminal go live and teach the youth. Like that's what's literally happening on TikTok. Sadly, that's what's happening in Armenia. I know for a fact because I've been studying, following it. There is good. There's some people that try to teach. I try to do that, and I'll try to do it more. Trying to teach some great principles and stuff like that. Hopefully, we can counterweight. Right now, I have multiple cases of.
I think that's my issue. I think that's my issue with it is the people that try to teach because it's not dumb shit, like you said. It's not going to get pushed. It's not the platform to have the deep philosophical. It's trigger, fast content, viral, fire image, negative. Like there might be. I feel like, again, I don't use it. Like I see everyone around me on it, and they'll like the group text that we're in. They'll send TikToks. I don't even bother. Like I'll just tell my brain like cancel. I don't want to even see that. Again, maybe that's bad because I miss some stuff, but I don't because the next day it's on Twitter or it's on Twitter. I just if I need to find it or if that algorithm needs to show me, it'll show me. It has its own way of whatever you like, retweet, follow, all that. So I don't know. I don't know how much of that is part of this conversation. I'm sure it is because we're on social, we live it there. But I this might be a suggestion. Like I don't have like any vested interest in Twitter. but maybe encouraging Armenians to join Twitter, especially the ones that are deep philosophically trying to resolve issues for the country, for the people. There's longer form content there in form of spaces. We jump on, like you mentioned, the group. We can have a Twitter space there specifically for Armenians. So yeah, that's just some ramblings. I know it could probably go on forever on that, but we're part of social media culture. Can't escape it. So it affects our country, other countries too.
Yeah, and no, yeah, for sure. I think it's something to consider, definitely.
But
And ultimately,
how about more
go ahead.
practical, just to keep it more practical? I'm sure I want to do this again because I think this is a good niche, just having this conversation, and then because there's so many directions it can go. But how about some more practical things we can do to help Armenia? Like I'm thinking, like you mentioned, we have a partner there that imports goods from different countries from the States. We're trying to figure out freight forwarding for them. I know there's a lot of Armenians that are in trucking and dispatching, but we haven't connected. We haven't really found someone that can do freight from Los Angeles or the coast of California to Armenia. I don't even know if Armenia has ports or where they receive it. Like the truck companies that we talk to are U.S., Mexico, Canada, but they don't do international freight forwarding. So if there's opportunity, if anyone knows that, we would love to connect, like you mentioned. And these guys want to be the Amazon of Armenia, right? So they're exporting, importing from multiple countries and building that business there, which is great. Like that's what we need. And hopefully people of Armenia are inspired to go work for them, not be complacent and work their asses off and their faces off, just like we do here in the States, and what you're doing in Spain. So we need companies like that and people that either they start the business, but not everyone starts the business. We need more people to work in the business and make their fair share and their money and support their family and support themselves. But that's as practical as I can think. But like you said very clearly, like I can't do the freight forwarding. I don't do um, import to other countries. I don't have a ship. I don't have a truck. And the people in my network that I know don't do Armenia export either. So if you know
Mhm.
someone, if our network knows someone, would love to connect. Hopefully, it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer that, Argan, here's the first thing. How do you what are more practical stuff? Well, you gotta get yourself out there and talk, and no, just get yourself out there. Hey guys, this is what I'm trying. Like if Argan said 6 months ago on his Facebook, hey guys, this is what type of company I'm looking for. I'm looking to do this for Armenia, and he posted it in a group of Armenian business people or Armenian people, period. He probably could have gotten the answer, but that's not
Yeah.
happening. So that's the first thing. Like we gotta have those conversations. We gotta put ourselves out there. We gotta connect more with uh that's I guess one of my missions is to try to bring together as many doers, not talkers, but as many doers that want to do for Armenia as possible. But yeah, just talk about it. And here's what we're gonna do, Argen. We'll clip this audio and put it on a separate video. So tell people tell people a little bit about first, what do you do? How do you help companies? And tell me, I don't know if you're allowed to tell me numbers. I don't really need numbers, but how are you going to help this big company? How are you going to help them make more money? And how are you going to make more money in the process? And then, so what kind of companies are you looking to partner with so that people listening can then approach you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I myself sell products that we source from overseas, mainly China, some Vietnam, and I sell on our website and on Amazon primarily. So that's the bread and butter. Because we grew that business and needed warehousing and space to do fulfillment, shipping, receiving, containers, all of that, anything that's logistics. There's pallets we receive, we ship. There's cartons, there's units, anything that comes in a box. I'm sure people know about that. Because of that, I partnered up with a 3PL, and we started our own version of like e-commerce fulfillment called Ship Depot. And we do this for other e-commerce and other physical product brands. So all over the country, we have clients in Singapore, Canada, China, all over, Mexico, Brazil. They're selling in the US, but they don't have a presence here. Most of our clients are in the US based, but international ones who have physical products they've started, and obviously US is probably the biggest market outside of China, actually, for e-commerce sales. We handle full service logistics. So again, anything that needs to be physically stored and shipped, we're the first touch point, right? So it's almost like that company that's international or even US that doesn't have a warehouse. Now they do have a warehouse. It's just a third party. So that's what we do at Ship Depot. And we can help like full service logistics and management. Now, because of that, there's other services that people ask us for that we don't do. Like I said, freight forwarding, postage, customs clearance from country to country, and some other like secondary, tertiary services that we don't provide. So that's us in a nutshell. And yeah, our target audience or custom audience is 7, 8, 9-figure physical product brands.
Okay, perfect. And for context, I think this is going to really help. For context for people, tell me more about that example of, hey, I was just talking to this X brand with X product, and they weren't on Amazon. They wanted to get in the US market, correct? That was the case. So
Yeah.
tell them how you do help, because that's huge. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to get in the US market, and you can help in a huge way. So tell them how you
Yeah,
help
like
there.
that will fall under like that secondary, tertiary services. So we haven't codified like so there's Amazon agencies that handle everything Amazon related, which there can be probably 100+ services just on there. We don't offer that as a company service, but because I have that knowledge, I'll try to bridge that gap. So if a client is not on Amazon, so we have a lot of leads that we'll get in contact with. Sometimes they're not on Amazon, and if they're large enough, I'll add that personally as a value add service. Like, hey, you guys need fulfillment, we can do that for you, no problem. But if you also want to go on Amazon, I can help you get on Amazon. I'm not going to manage that for them unless we can get that to work, but I haven't done that. But I have set it up for them and gotten their products there to get some sales, and then they manage it or refer them to an actual agency partner that does full account management, and then they have the contract between them. So yeah, again, I feel like we can't do everything, can't do every service. Like it's just time, expertise, the operational cost, right, or opportunity cost. Like, can't do everything. So, but I'm value first. Like if I see there's opportunity for that business to make more money, I'm going to recommend everything for them to do that because it's in their best interest, and if they sell more, we can ship more. So that's kind of my thinking around that.
Perfect. Well, there you go. I think this answers pretty much everything for to qualify people that can work with you. And there you go. Those are some of the services. They can go to what is the website for Sheep Depot?
ShipDepot.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. We'll put that on the bio. And so that's on one end, right? So any brands, anyone that's interested, they have physical wool goods, and our games team can definitely help. Here's my next and one of the last questions, is everyone in the Armenian community has a superpower. What is your superpower that you can use and help Armenian brands? I understand. How can you help with your superpower to Armenian brands, and how can you help?
Yeah, that's a good question. Within our business, it would, I think, be that what we just described. Anything that's logistics, full service logistics, we can manage within the U.S. Our goal is to go nationwide and then international, because we don't think e-commerce is slowing down. It's going to be more global, but I think that's the long-term goal, and we'll help on that. Personally, I think my superpower is this, like, intaking information, distilling it, and then reapplying it to whatever that's important. So my main focus has been in e-com and now logistics, but it goes into marketing. I'm a like super hungry learner. I like put myself lifelong, constantly learning. Like, I want to understand more, so that means take in more info. And now with AI, that's been like 100x. But even that, like, you take in relevant info that's needed and then reapply it to problems in the world, problems in our business. Again, I feel like I'm not doing human changing, life altering stuff. It's like pretty basic. It's not on Elon level, or uh, you know the guys, the life sciences and biology and whatever. But I still have a long life. But again, superpower, intaking info, distilling that, applying it to a problem, getting the solution, whatever it takes, no matter the cost. We figure out a solution. If someone needs it, primarily that brain energy goes into our business to figure out those problems. But it's the same process for anything.
I love that. I love that. So, and finally, I think this is important. You and I have a history. We did a podcast. I want to know when we did the podcast. I think it was 2018. Our game.
Yeah.
Right? Or 19?
18 or 19, yeah.
We have a history, so there is a lot of trust, but trust built. We know it's all legit and stuff like that. But for people that don't know you, like, what's and it's also relevant to establish a little bit of an authority, so we don't waste your time. What kind of metrics can you share that you are doing, your business is doing, so that they can understand the weight and the amazing level of expertise you bring?
Yeah, maybe we can go deeper on that in the next topics, because there's a lot of data. We track anything that Amazon provides, we track, and that list is like, there's probably 1,000 data points. And then the same on the 3PL side. I'm not as much of an expert on the 3PL, so which is good, because again, I don't have all the time, but we're hiring for people, and I learn from them. On the 3PL side, not as much data points, just because it's not, we don't rely on a system like Seller Central on Amazon to give us the data. We have to pull it ourselves, compile it ourselves. But there's a lot of data points on the 3PL too. So maybe we'll keep that for another convo. I can prepare some slides. We can go through it and share it.
here's where I'm coming from, and I didn't do a good job of asking the question. Question, better answer. Um, I want to filter your time because obviously, I mean, you're a helper, you're a good human being, but someone is just starting out. There is people that are going to help people that are just starting out. However, I wanted people to have an estimation of kind of like the yearly sales or something like that that your company is doing, so they can tell that, hey, this is kind of who we work with, what we do, and so we can filter for your time, so people in beginner phases don't reach. So what is that approximate like number, more or less?
Yeah. Um, yeah. If I'm understanding it correctly, anyone that's doing seven figures annually, we we can help. We have we have eight, nine-figure clients. Like I don't want to name drop, but there's a
No.
Amazon aggregators that we work with. They're billion-dollar companies, and we're not their only fulfillment company, um, but we're their West Coast partner. But we will test like some startups that not don't have any sales but have what we call product market fit. So they have a great product, one SKU. It might not be high seven figures or uh, anything like that, but they have sales 20, 30 that they've sold and they're selling consistently. We will talk to them because it's they might everyone started out as no sales and then five, six, seven figures. So we start somewhere. So we always keep that open. But yeah, if it's like five sales a day, it just the economies of scale don't work. So we need some momentum so that we can put the right processes and people in place to work on that, and it makes sense for everyone. So I would say startups are okay too. Like we talk to a lot of startups, but they need to have product market fit.
Okay.
I
Well,
feel
there you
like
go. Those are
this turned into a interview in the last section, which is fine. I love that, but more of a conversation. I want to keep this going, learn more about your side. How I know you're involved with like ad buying and technology and data and tax, and you have a lot of knowledge as well. I want to get into that. Have I think expertise is. I don't want to talk about it. Like you said, it's
mhm.
about the doing. Like hearing me say it, I don't even want to say it. Like you either you come and trust us based off what we've done for other people and the conversation that we have that what we say we can do. I don't want to sell anything on anything that we can't anyone on anything that we can't do. Like we talk to every client and
Mhm.
if we see we can do something, we do it. If not, we say we're not the right fit. We can recommend you to someone else. So
Mhm.
yeah, I just want to get the knowledge out there. Your knowledge, mine, other people. Hopefully, we connect. But I want to keep this ongoing. We have like multiple conversations, maybe once a month, and keep building on top of it.
I agree. I agree. If you guys liked it, feel free to share, give us suggestions, send it to people that should be talking to us, that in your community. We'd love to have them. All right, we're gonna leave Argan's socials, Twitter, stuff like that, so you guys can reach out. Mine too. And any last words to wrap up,
Love it.
Argan?
I love it, man. Hopefully, I want to do this again. Like keep it very free flowing, conversational. Maybe like have other people on. I know it's more difficult on YouTube, maybe even Zoom, but like if we can transition to like Twitter Spaces, um, or I don't know, we'll figure out ways. But I want other people to come and share their story, what they're working on, because we're only two guys out of how many million Armenians are there globally? You know that
9 to 10,
9 to 10.
something like
So
that.
two out of 10 million. I want to meet more. And look, I don't even have any. I don't know if this can be controversial in the way to end this, but maybe maybe we can use this as a debate. I have no issues with Turkish people, Azeris. That might be controversial, and maybe I'm wrong, but I love people. I want more people to connect. I want all of us to connect as a humanity, because we all live on this one planet. We're one button nuke away from killing each other. We're one AGI away from killing each other. So I think that's more important than any nationality. So maybe I might be controversial on that. Maybe we can debate that on the next episode.
I
But
hear you. Well, because you added, I'm just gonna add a couple words and we're we're gonna wrap up. You added that. Like if you didn't add that, we could peacefully end.
okay, okay, go ahead. You have the last word.
Listen, Ganakin that said, there was during these killings of Armenians years and years ago, they're trying to exterminate Armenians. Ganakin that are brought a lot of there is it's in the movie. There were a bunch of Armenians banded together defend the land. And one Armenian, was again, there were a process of killing millions of Armenians, right? Or have killed. And so this Armenian says to Karagin the general, the commander, he says, I don't want to kill this Turkish person. I want us to be friends. And he's like, how can you be friends with someone that's been killing you for hundreds of years?
Fair point. Understood.